Hey everybody, I'm Samurai Sam, and this is the third video of me going through my PS2 games, and this will be the last one. Hopefully I'll be able to get through the rest of them in good time. I think I will be. So, here we go. Next game. Sakura Wars So Long My Love. This was also on the Wii, but I believe this kind of collector's edition thing was only on PS2, and it also comes with a disc that has the game in Japanese voices instead of just English, whereas in the Wii I don't think you have that option. Sakura Wars is a series that's pretty popular in Japan, I believe, and has been around for quite a while, since the mid-90s, but I believe this is the only one in the whole series that's been released here. If not, I mean, it's probably only one or two more, and I think they're kind of like strategy RPGs with a lot of dating sim elements and stuff, and I mean, I don't know, I can't comment on it too much because I haven't played it too much. What's amusing to me is that voice actor Johnny Young Bosch plays the protagonist, and he has like the highest voice I've ever seen him do, and I think that's kind of amusing. But I haven't spent a lot of time with this one. Maybe I will someday. Here we have Samurai Showdown Anthology. This is also on the Wii. This contains the first, I want to say, six Samurai Showdown games, which are cool fighting games from SNK. It's a very nice package. I originally got the Wii version, and then I realized the Wii version is not compatible with GameCube controllers, which is annoying and caught me off guard because like all the other SNK compilations are. So I sold that one and I got this one instead. Yeah, they're cool fighting games. I've only really played the first one at any considerable length of time. I've tried out the other ones, but not very much. But yeah, they're cool games. If you like 2D fighters, I recommend them. It's a good value for 6 games in one. Sega Classics Collection. Now this is a compilation of various budget titles. See, in Japan they did a whole bunch of budget games called the Sega Ages line, which are mostly like, well, I mean, at least at first they were like 3D remakes of old Sega games, like arcade games or Genesis games or what have you. And this one actually takes a whole bunch of them and puts them on one disc, which is cool. This actually got really panned by critics when it came out, partly because some of the games on here are really bad. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, the Golden Axe, for example, is just terrible. But some of the games here are actually pretty decent, like Fantasy Zone, and I want to say, which one is it? I think Alien Syndrome's pretty good. It gets a little bit too much of a bad rap. There is some good stuff on here, and it's dirt cheap, I believe, so I recommend it if you're a Sega fan. Here's the Sega Genesis Collection. This was like the first one of these. It's been popular for Sega to bundle a bunch of their Genesis games in like one compilation for various systems. This was, I believe, the first in that line. This one has a few games that the collection for PS3 and 360 didn't have. I think the most notable of them is probably Shadow Dancer, but like there's a couple more, like Sword of a Million isn't on that compilation either. I'm not sure if this one has anything that's not on the newest one, like for the Switch and PS4, Xbox One. I'm not sure if there are any on this one that are not on that one. But you know, I don't care to look it up, honestly. But this is still pretty good for what it is, and it's probably not like the ideal way to experience these games, but it's pretty solid. I believe Phantasy Star 4 on here has some emulation issues, which is unfortunate. But yeah, there's some bonus things on here too, like arcade games and extras and stuff. I'm not so sure if it's worth getting this particular version. It might be, but like, you know, I'd have to look into it. Here is, I got 3 games here. I guess I'll show this is a trilogy, but I guess I'll show you one at a time. Shadow Hearts. This was an early PS2 RPG that got overshadowed by Final Fantasy X when it came out. This is, kind of it takes place in like early 1900s Europe, and it's kind of like real life, except magic in like witches and warlocks are real instead of so it's not like realistic, and it kind of has I want to say horror. I'm not sure if that's the right way to put it. What does the game itself describe it? I don't want to spend too much time here, but it has a very unique like style to it, which is pretty cool. Not much voice acting here, but that's okay. And gameplay is pretty cool. It uses something called the Judgment Ring, which is really unique. I've never really seen anything quite like it, where you have to press the X button and with the right timing 3 times or more or less when you use an attack or a spell or something. And it's pretty cool. The game uses it well. I didn't think it was like one of the best RPGs on the PS2, but it's quite good and unique. And if you're into that sort of thing, it's probably is one of the best RPGs on the PS2. Then there's Shadow Hearts 2, which came out here as Shadow Hearts Covenant. At least it says it on the box. When you fire up the game, it never says the word Covenant. It just says Shadow Hearts 2. This one is actually, it has the same protagonist as the first game, but really it's quite different from the first game. It has a very different feel. It's a lot less of like the horror feel the first game, and like almost a completely new cast. Not quite, but like almost. And it's just very different. The same gameplay style is the same. Really, like I mean, mostly like this. The same battle system is there. Like the Judgment Ring is there. So it is definitely a direct and true sequel, but it's like very different. And I thought it was very interesting how they changed kind of the feel of the game so much. Yeah, this game is very good. My biggest complaint with it, I remember, is that it was just very easy. Like I really cruised through this game. Yeah, it's a good one. It has a lot more voice acting than the first one. And I think the voice acting is pretty decent if I remember. It's been quite a few years since I actually played through this, but it is quite a good game. Definitely recommend it if you're into RPGs. And then finally we have Shadow Hearts from the New World, which is, I mean, it's basically a sequel, but it follows a completely different set of characters than the first two games. And it does definitely take place in the same world as the first two games because some of the characters from the first two games do appear in this game. But it's not. It doesn't feel like a sequel. It kind of feels like a spin-off that just happens to take place in the same world. But yeah, this is actually my favorite of the three. There's a lot of really quirky characters in here, like really amusing, quirky characters, and the gameplay system, in my opinion, is the best of the three, which is really what puts it over the top. There's all kinds of cool ways to strategize and stuff. Yeah, it's mad fun. If you like good gameplay in an RPG, I highly recommend it. More RPGs. Here's Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga. Very cool, unique game. This has a art back because this originally came with like as part of like a box set sort of thing. I don't have that, so this is part of the Megami Tensei series, obviously, but it's like kind of a spin-off. It's not like you don't like negotiate or talk to demons at all or anything like that. Basically, you are in this. How do I even describe it? Like you are like in this tribe and you're like fighting to survive because like life is really bad and like there's food is short and like other tribes are kind of warring against each other and you're trying to reach this place called Nirvana to like. It's been many years since I played this game, more than a decade, but it is quite good. Good turn-based battle system. My biggest complaint is, well, with this game, with all the Megami Tensei games that use this battle system, is that it's a little, in my opinion, too reliant on weaknesses and resistances, because like you can really get screwed over like if you're weak to something. So a lot of the game feels like trial and error. Granted, it does it pretty well for being trial and error. And the nice thing about Digital Devil Saga is that you can deliberately like choose what kind of immunities and vulnerabilities your characters will get as they grow. It does sort of feel fair in a way, but like you are pretty much every boss fight you're going to lose the first time if you don't know what's going to happen. But like the game tells you when a boss fight's coming, so that's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, they're good games with a very unique story, atmosphere, characters, and stuff, and I like it. Then Digital Devil Saga 2, which is an absolute direct sequel because the first one ends on pretty much a cliffhanger. And yeah, it's basically more of the same, only like you're not in the same setting as the first game. And I probably shouldn't say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, it's pretty much more the same, and it's good. If you like the first one, you like that one, and you should play it because it continues the story. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. I believe this was the first like mainline Shin Megami Tensei game to come out here. Well, definitely the first in like the main series, but like one of the first in general. I mean, you had Revelations was the first one, and then Persona 1, Persona 2, and then I think this was the next one after that. Even then, we only got half of Persona 2. But anyway, Megami Tensei Nocturne was actually quite a popular game, and like very highly rated by the people who liked it. And I played like I want to say like 15 hours of it, and I do like a lot of things about it. Basically, you're in like a post-apocalyptic setting, and you're the only party member you have off the bat. You basically have to like recruit monsters to your side to be your party and go through all these dark dungeons and stuff, and very unique in the world of Arceus. It's probably not all that unique compared to the rest of the series, but like the Megami Tensei series is quite distinct. I have some complaints with this game though. Like I didn't finish it. I was kind of the game's flaws really got to me, I guess, more than most people. Because the game is so big on weaknesses and resistances, it's kind of a pain. Honestly, you don't have a lot of control over like what kind of weak things you're weak to. I mean, you can recruit different monsters with different weaknesses, but like if you're using monsters and building them up that have certain weaknesses that are crippling, then sucks to be you. And like when you level up, only one stat goes up, so you don't really get all that strong. So you could level up, and then a stat you don't care about goes up, and so it makes grinding frustrating and stuff. I just found this game kind of frustrating, and I didn't want to finish it, so I didn't. But, a lot of people really love it, so, maybe it's worth a shot if it sounds good to you. Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3 Fest. This is actually, like, kind of a reissue of Persona 3, which came out, like, the year before. And this really, like, revamped the Persona series and, like, fundamentally transformed it. This, you're, like, a student at a school in Japan, and the game progresses through, like, a daily calendar schedule where you have to, like, do something different every day and stuff, and there's a dungeon you can go to at night that's, like, randomly generated and stuff. And has a good story and good characters, and you can, like, make friends, and, like, making friends with people make fusing personas easier and stuff like that. Fusing strong personas easier, I should say, maybe. It's it's a very popular game. Really, like, was a revelation for the series in the West, and it has a lot of flaws, though. I think Persona 3 is a really good game, but also kind of rough around the edges. The biggest problem and most obvious problem is that you can't directly control your party members. The AI controls them, and I really don't like that. And with the PSP version, you can control them, but that version has its own, like, limitations and stuff, which is unfortunate. And so I actually haven't really played the PSP version, so I can't quite compare them. But this also contains, like, an exclusive post-game thing that you can do, but it's not really that good, honestly. I still recommend it, though. Probably the PSP version is better overall, but, that's still worth playing. Then we have Persona 4. Now, Persona 4, I actually had this one not long after it came out, but I never, like, sat down to play it, and I wound up just playing through the Vita remake, which is actually much better. Persona 4 is, for Golden for the Vita, is one of my all-time favorite RPGs. It's really, really amazing, and this is still obviously amazing, but it's lacks a lot of the improvements that the Vita game had. So I can't say exactly how much I like this particular version of it. I'll talk more about it when I get to the Vita episode. It'll give me more to talk about in the Vita episode because I don't have a ton of Vita games. But excellent game. I recommend playing the Vita version and not playing that version, but it's still great. Nope. We've got Sky Gunner. This is like a dogfighting game, kind of like what do I compare it to? Like Air Combat or whatever. Star Fox, I guess, where you, like, fly around, shoot planes and stuff. And this is kind of unusual because it has kind of like a cutesy anime style to it or something. Well, I don't know if cutesy is the right way to put it, but, like, it has, like, quirky anime characters instead of, like, realistic, gritty pilots, I guess. And I haven't really played it that much, but it's kind of intriguing, and I will play it sometime. I don't know when. We have the trilogy here. Sly Cooper 1, 2, and 3. These are, like, action platformers, 3D platformers, with some stealth segments here and there. And these were very popular games when they came out. And I've played, like, a couple hours of the first one, and I thought it was alright. I didn't finish it. I probably will someday. They're the style kind of reminds me of Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank, kind of amusing, cartoony characters and stuff like that. I know they're good games, but for some reason I just never, like, got into them that much. They're probably better than I think they are. Like, I played a couple hours of the first one, I was like, yeah, it's alright, but, like, is it really that good? And I'll revisit them sometime and see. Snoopy versus the Red Baron. This is another dogfighting game like Sky Gunner. Dogfighting, get it? Because it's Snoopy! And this kind of feels like, like when I tried the tutorial, it kind of felt like it was meant to be like a kid's game, but I know this is actually considered a pretty good game, which is why I have it. And I also love Peanuts and Charlie Brown and stuff. So that's another reason for me to pick this up. I'll probably play Sky Gunner first, or will I play Sky Gunner first? I don't know. I thought it was worth having in my collection because I like Peanuts, mostly. And that's a good Peanuts game. Soul Nomad and the World Eaters. This is a Nippon Ichi strategy RPG. I guess it's from the same people that made Disgaea. I don't know if it's the same development team or what. But I really can't tell you much more about this game other than that. I've had it for a long time because I got it at a good price. Yeah, at some point I'll try it and see how it is. Here's Soul Calibur 2. Maybe I'll save talking about this until I get to the GameCube version, which is the one I had when it came out. Soul Calibur 2, one of the best 3D fighters of all time. This version has Heihachi from Tekken in it as a guest fighter. Each of the 3 main versions of this game has a guest fighter. And, it's a really amazing game. Soul Calibur 3. Now, this is exclusive to the PS2, which I think was kind of an odd decision. I'm itching. I try not to touch my face because right now it's coronavirus time, but whatever. Soul Calibur 3 is feels a lot like 2. Like, it feels like they didn't change that much. It's generally considered not as good as 2. Like the mechanical changes they did make are considered not as good. This has some new modes in it, and like the first one with a create a fighter mode. And I did kind of enjoy the new modes and like the new single player. Oh, scratch me. My nose is itching like crazy. Yeah, I still like Soul Calibur 3 a lot. I prefer 2. Most people do. But, like, this version is definitely worth playing on its own because of, like, the different things in it and the new characters. I like Zasa Lamel and stuff. The new characters are good. Why am I itching so much? Goodness. Anyway, Soul Calibur 3, really good. Recommend it. 2 is better, but you should play both. Space Channel 5, Special Edition. This contains both Space Channel 5 and Space Channel 5 Part 2. These are basically Simon Says games. I don't know if there's like a rhythm aspect to the gameplay or not, but yeah, they're like basically the gameplay modeled after Simon Says, which is like the computer does something and you have to do what it says. And I am not making good time in this video. I need to get my butt moving here. Star Ocean Till the End of Time. I've tried Star Ocean 1 and 2, and I haven't really cared for either of them, but yeah, at some point I'll try this one. I've had this one forever, and I haven't played through it. But yeah, it seems cool, like fully voiced and stuff, and at some point I'll play it. Street Fighter Anniversary Collection. This contains like Street Fighter 2 with like all the versions of the fighters throughout all the versions of Street Fighter 2, which is cool, and also contains Street Fighter 3, which is also really cool. Really good classic fighting games. I recommend them. Not much more to say about it because, you know, it's Street Fighter. What else is there to say? I haven't really played much Street Fighter 3, though, so I can't comment too much on that game. Street Fighter Alpha Anthology. Again, this is really good. It has Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3 arcade, and it also has Pocket Fighter. Well, actually, on here it's called Super Gem Fighter, which is like a spin-off of Street Fighter. And, you know, it's really good. Street Fighter. Yeah. What more needs to be said about Street Fighter? Here's Suikoden 3. I've played Suikoden 1 and 2. Haven't played this one. This has, like, different scenarios. Like, there's 3 main characters and, like, their paths, like, I guess, correspond and stuff. Like, I think you play as each one of them during a stretch of the story, like, that happens at the same time or something. And apparently it's quite good. I haven't played all the way through it. I don't have Suikoden 4 because apparently that game's not that good, but I do have Suikoden 5, and I can't really tell you anything about that one. Like all Suikoden games, you can get up to 108 party members. Well, not all party members, but like members of your entourage. Super Dragon Ball Z. This is a fighting game that was made in part by the dude who made Street Fighter, I believe. And I've played it some, and it seems alright, but like not like great. Wouldn't be like my first choice of a Dragon Ball fighter, but it's alright. It has a weird cast. Super Dragon Ball Z has some fighters you wouldn't expect, like Chi-Chi, but like the cast isn't that big. There's some fighters that you would expect that aren't there, so that's kind of weird. Swing Away Golf. This was an early golf game for the PS2. The reason why I picked it up is because it has like a course creator mode, which I feel like more golf games should have, but it's not like a really extensive course creator mode, so I don't even know if it was worth it. But apparently it's a good game. At some point I'll try it. Taiko Drum Master. I really like the Taiko series. This is like the only one that came out in America back in the day. There were many games on PS2. Actually, this one, I should say, this one was actually made specifically for America, and it has its own unique song list. And its song list, it has kind of a weird mix of tunes, from like pop music to anime and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's Taiko Drum Master. It's good stuff. Good rhythm games. I have the drum controller for it. Yeah, I recommend it if you like rhythm games. Taito Legends. This has a lot of old school arcade Taito games on it, like Bust and Move. Not Bust and Move, but it has, I'm thinking Bubble Bobble. That's what I meant. A lot of classic, one of those compilation discs. It's good. If you like classic arcade games, I recommend it. Then we have Taito Legends 2, which is, I think, one of the better arcade compilation discs. And it has but more games from the 16-bit era rather than like the 8-bit era, and some really good ones on here, including Bust a Move. This one actually does have Bust a Move. Yeah, some really cool games on here, like Darius Gaiden, Space Invaders 95, like the Space... There's 2 Space Invaders games on here that are both pretty cool, I think. But like a lot, there's like dozens of games on here, and there's some really cool gems. There's also an Xbox version that was only released in Europe for some reason, and the 2 versions have some exclusive games, so it's worth having them both. And the Xbox version is region free, so that's cool. Tales of Legendia. This is a really cool Tales game. I love the Tales series. It's really good. Talked about it a little bit before, and this one has really good characters and a lot of fun dialogue and really funny laugh out loud moments. And fun gameplay. This goes back to like the 2D gameplay style, even though this game took place after Symphonia. And the big gaping flaw with this game is that you can't play 2-player. Like, why not? That doesn't make any sense to me. But still, highly recommended if you like RPGs and Tales games. Great game. Tales of the Abyss, my favorite Tales game. This game has such a great cast. The characters are like possibly the best cast of characters I've seen in an RPG, save for Natalia, who's not very interesting. But gameplay, this is the first 3D Tales game to have free running in the battles, which was a much needed addition, and it's just mad good. Like, what are you waiting for? Just play this game. It's so good. Technic Peak. This is a rather unique rhythm game from Konami. Or is it Konami or is it Namco? Yeah, it's Namco. It's a rhythm game where you walk around and patterns will appear on the ground and you have to press a button on them with the right timing to the beat. And it has a lot of music from classic Namco arcade games. I haven't played this one a lot, but I like what I played. Definitely recommend it. It's dirt cheap. If you like rhythm games at all, and especially if you like Namco, definitely pick it up. Tekken Tag Tournament. I haven't played a lot of Tekken in my life, honestly. This seems like one of the more interesting Tekken games. You play it with 2 people on your team. You can switch between them, Marvel vs. Capcom style, sort of. Only as a 3D fighter, and it's a lot less over the top. But cool game. Launch title for PS2, and cheap. And Tekken 5. I think, is this the one that has Tekken 3 on it? I don't remember. But this is Tekken 5. I don't have 4 yet. And again, Tekken is like a very highly regarded series, and this is considered like a great game, one of the best-selling PS2 games, but I just have never gotten into the series. But I will someday, I vow. Tetris Worlds, I like Tetris games, and this one was interesting enough to pick up. Or actually, no, someone just gave this one to me, so I don't think I just chose to pick it up. I think this is actually considered not a great Tetris game, if I remember right, but I don't remember, because I think this was just given to me, and I have it because it's Tetris. I haven't gotten rid of it. At some point, I'll give it a go and see how good it stacks up. Eventually, Cookie and Cream. This is kind of a unique game that's co-op based. You play as 2 characters that are on either side of the screen, and each one has to do things to help the other one progress. It's designed to be played co-op, and you can even play with 1 controller. Although I prefer just having 2 if you have a second controller lying around. It's a cool game. Very unique. I haven't really played anything like it. If you have a friend you want to play something with, it's also fairly simple to grasp. So, if you have a kid or a significant other that's not really that into video games, they might even like this. I don't know. We'll see. It's not always easy, though. The Bard's Tale. I think this is kind of like a 3D action / kind of Baldur's Gate style RPG, I think. Only humor is kind of the name of the game here. It's a very silly game as far as I know, with a lot of humor and humorous dialogue and situations and stuff. I haven't played it a lot, so I can't really give my own opinion. But apparently it's good. Itching like crazy this morning. I don't know why. The King of Fighters 11. This is another one of those games in the SNK's popular series, and this is apparently a very good entry. I've heard good things about it. It's a 2D fighter. It's not 3D, and I can't really say too much about this specific entry. I just know that it's considered a good game, and I like good 2D fighters. So at some point I'll play it. Lord of the Rings: Two Towers. This is another one that I think was just given to me. It's a kind of a hack and slash based on the movie, obviously. Actually, I think this contains a lot of events from the Fellowship of the Ring as well. So I think this is kind of like the first 2 movies in one game. And as far as I can tell, it's a pretty decent licensed game. It's not going to blow you away unless you really are crazy about the movie. But I think it's all right. The Red Star. This is like a 3D kind of arcade-ish, I think, action game. And it's not really realistic. It's I don't know exactly what to compare it to. I haven't played it a lot, but it's 2-player co-op, and that's cool, and I like games like this, so at some point I will give it a go and have more of an opinion. The Simpsons Hit and Run. This is another one that I think was just kind of given to me or just fell on my lap. I think this is kind of a take on GTA, I want to say. I'm not sure. Grand Theft Auto. And, if you like The Simpsons, you'll probably like this game. For some reason, I've just never really, watched that much Simpsons. It's never, really... I don't know, happened to me or what have you. But if you like The Simpsons, that one's probably worth picking up. 2 games here to show you. Time Crisis 2 and Time Crisis 3. They are good gun games that involve having a button where you can kind of hide under cover and then reveal yourself when it's time to shoot things and stuff. They're very good arcade style light gun games. I do have the gun. Unfortunately, if you're going to play these on the PS2, you need to have 2 TVs and link up the system, or else you have to play split screen, which kind of sucks because you really don't have enough screen. So that's unfortunate. If you want to play co-op, it's probably better to play in the arcade unless you really want to invest in the perfect setup, which I wouldn't play often enough to really make that worth it, unfortunately. Time Splitters 1. It's a first-person shooter focused on multiplayer. It's good, but I'm sure Future Perfect just blows it out of the water, so it's probably not really worth it. But it's got a good sense of humor, too. I really like Time Splitters Future Perfect, but we'll get to that in the Xbox episodes, whatever. Twisted Metal Black. This is a vehicular combat game. I've talked about this before because I have the games in PS1. It's considered a good vehicular combat series. and this is considered a worthy entry in said series. And I haven't played it a lot, but it has like a story mode, which I think the other ones lacked. I'm not sure. Seems pretty good, like multiplayer focused. I've played it some, but not a lot. Urban Reign. This is like a 3D beat 'em up that a friend traded me, and I can't say too much about it. I want to say it's multiplayer. I'm not sure, but it's from Namco, and some people like it. I'm not sure if I'll be one of those people, but I'll try it sometime. Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria. I did really like the first Valkyrie Profile, although I didn't actually technically beat it. This one changes a lot, gameplay-wise, but also kind of resembles the first game in some ways, too. And I can't say too much about it. I really should play this. I need to play the first one again, honestly. Yeah, at some point I'll have an opinion on Valkyrie Profile 2, but if you like the first one, you probably will like that one, I think, as far as I know. Vampire Knight, this is another light gun game with, as you would guess, like kind of a vampire thing. Like, vampires are the big enemies in this. And, yeah, if you like arcade light guns, you'll probably like this. I've played it with a friend, and it's good. I need to play it, I guess I should play it more, because I only played it really once. Beautiful Joe. This was ported to the PS2 like a year after the GameCube version, and it has Dante from Devil May Cry in it. So if you like Dante and you like the first one, then you'll probably like this one too. Beautiful Joe, 2D kind of action side-scrolling game where you can like speed up time, slow down time, and as you progress through the stages, you can buy more moves and power-ups and stuff. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Like, I found a lot of the gameplay to be unintuitive and stuff, I guess I would say. But, they're good games with a lot of personality. And, if you like those kind of mechanics, and especially if you like Dante, it's probably worth picking up. Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. This is considered, I've heard very high praise from this as, like, one of the best 3D fighters. Never gotten into the series, really, but, should be noted that this version came out greatest hits with the title Evolution, with more content, so this is one that really, you have to have greatest hits, for better or worse. At some point I'll get into this series and like this type of 3D fighter. Like, I never got into Virtua Fighter or Tekken in my life, really. We Love Katamari. This is my favorite, personally, Katamari game in the series. The games where you roll around a ball and pick things up. And I just really love the levels and the music in this one in particular. And yeah, I've already talked about the first Katamari. This is mostly more of the same, just, in my opinion, a little bit better. Wheel of Fortune. It's Wheel of Fortune. I think this is a pretty good version of it. I've talked about Wheel of Fortune. You should probably know what it is. It's a game show that's kind of like Hangman. And yeah, it's Wheel of Fortune. Here's this whole series here. We got Wild Arms, Alter Code F. I'll just talk about this one at a time. This is a remake of Wild Arms 1. I've tried it some. I didn't like it that much. I did beat the first Wild Arms. And I think I liked it more than this one, from what I played of this one. We've got Wild Arms 3. This one has like a... Well, I mean, all the Wild Arms games kind of have like a Wild West kind of motif. This one is like different characters, like, yeah, I mean, all the Wild Arms games are kind of like that. And there's Wild Arms 4, which kind of changed the battle system of the series to take place on like a hexagonal grid. If I said that right, hexagonal, I don't know if that's a word. Hexagon grid, as you can see in one of the screenshots there. And then there's Wild Arms 5, which kept the hexagon grid battle system thing. Wild Arms is a series that's considered like good but not great usually, and I'm wondering, like, I played the first one and I thought it was okay but like not great. I'm not sure if the Wild Arms series is really worth my time. Like, I'm valuing my time more, and like RPGs just take a lot of time, so I'm sure I would enjoy the series, but like I don't think they're great. 5 seems to me like it has the most appeal from the little I've played of it, so like I'll at least try. I'll try 4 and 5. I've tried some of 3. Like, it seems good, but, like, probably not great. So, I don't know. I might never get around to that series, but we'll see. Here's Wipeout Fusion, 3D Racer, popular series. I think this is considered a good entry in the series. I can't really say much else. I mean, I like futuristic racers. World Heroes Anthology, more 2D fighters from SNK. These have more quirky cast of characters than you typically see. And I've played the first one, haven't really played the other ones. But yeah, I like them. They're cool games. If you like 2D fighters, pick it up. Good value for 4 games in 1. Xenosaga. Well, here we go. Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3. I've played like several hours of Xenosaga 1, and I didn't really like it that much. Like, I really like Cosmos, the character Cosmos, who's kind of like a
Android, I guess. Seemed very amusing, but there wasn't enough Cosmos in what I played. Like the other characters just didn't interest me really, and the battle system I just thought was boring. It's kind of like Star Ocean in that it has kind of like a sci-fi setting, which I do think is cool. Most people say Xenosaga 2 is not very good. Xenosaga 3 is apparently much better than the first two, so maybe I'll just go straight to that. And I know it has like a recap at the start of it. These games are kind of like, even though it's by a different company, they're basically sequels / spiritual successors to Xenogears in the PS1, which is another game I really didn't care for that much. Yakuza, this is kind of a popular series about the Yakuza, which are Japanese mafia, and I think they're kind of like Shenmue. I think I've heard that comparison. I can't really say because I haven't really played those games. I do know the first one is the only one with an English dub. Here's Yakuza 2, which was rare for a long time until it got a reprint. And yeah, at some point I'll give these games a shot and see if they're my thing or not. Maybe they won't be, but maybe they will be. We'll see. Ys, the Ark of Napishtim. I think this might be the first Ys game that came out in America since Ys 3 on the Super Nintendo and Genesis. But this kind of plays kind of like Zelda-ish. I haven't played this one too much though. I beat Ys 7 and I've dabbled in a couple other Ys games, but this one does not have the collision mechanics of the early Ys games. In fact, this one just you just swing your sword and kill things. Now we get to Japanese PS2 games, and we're already at 31 minutes, but I'm just going to press onward. Here's two Beatmania games. Beatmania IDX 6 style and Empress, which is considered the best one. Beatmania are rhythm games that use a special controller, and they're very popular arcade games, and they're cool games. They're also very difficult games. You really have to put in time and practice to really play them at an acceptable level. Higher barrier of entry than most rhythm games, but I do like them, and I will at some point practice. Tearing Saga series, Berwick Saga. First Tearing Saga was on PS1, and it was a ripoff of Fire Emblem because it was made by the same guy. This one takes a little bit more liberty with the gameplay and innovates a little more. I'm not sure how good it is. There's not many people in the Western world that have played this, so I can't really give a definitive opinion. Here's Dance Dance Revolution Extreme, which is quite different than the one we got here in America. It's DDR. I really like it. This is considered to be a really good entry in the series. Yeah, I've already talked about DDR. I don't need to talk about it more, really. Donpachi Daiojo. This is going to be one of several cave shoot-'em-ups that I'm going to be talking about. They're bullet hell shoot-'em-ups, and they're really good. Highly recommend them, especially if you like playing for high score. Yeah, it's Donpachi. It's a bullet hell shoot-'em-up. And speaking of them, here's another one, Espgaluda. And this is my favorite of them. This one has a mechanic where you can slow down time, but you can't do it forever. Like you have a meter and stuff that you can build up, and it's really, really fun and good music and everything. Highly recommend it if you like shoot 'em ups. Sega Ages Fantasy Zone Complete Collection. This has like all the games in the Fantasy Zone series, which is really cool, including even I think like a remake that is exclusive to this compilation. Yeah, they're old school games where you fly left and right to. They remind me of Defender, and they have shops where you can buy power-ups. My complaint usually with these games is that the power-ups don't last very long. But I don't know. I have to try the rest of the series. I've only really tried the first one, and even then, not really that much. Final Fantasy X International. This is kind of obsolete now because the HD collection has everything that's on this one. But this was cool because, well, this is actually the version that Europe got, which is cool. This has like new content and a new sphere grid, which is the main reason to play it, which gives you more freedom over how you build your characters. This is, even though it's Japanese, it has entirely English text and voice acting, which is great. It was a great import back in the day. Nowadays, it doesn't really matter. Gunstar Heroes Treasure Box. This contains 3 classic treasure games. Gunstar Heroes Dynamite Headdy and Alien Soldier. And you can even change the language to English, which is great. Well, I don't know if this is the best way to play these games now, but this is a pretty good package. Good way to get Alien Soldier because that game's really expensive. Really good collection there. Mushihime-sama, another cave shoot-'em-up. Bullet Hell. Same type of deal as Donpachi. I think the scoring system's a little different, but the game feels very similar. Poppin' Music. 7 and 8, I think. Yeah, 7 and 8. These are more Konami games that use a special controller, kind of like Beatmania, similar gameplay. I don't really like these games that much. Like it's mostly because of the songs. The gameplay, like the notes feel very awkward and unintuitive, and I don't like that. And yeah, I'll probably sell these games at some point because I just don't like them very much. Here's Strikers 1945 1 and 2. Actually, I want to say that Pop-Up Music in the arcades is better than the home versions from what I've played of them. For some reason, the home versions I don't like. Strikers 1945 1 and 2. These are really good shoot 'em ups from, what is it, Rising that made these? Well, Taito published this, but I don't know if they made them originally. But yeah, good bullet hell-ish. Well, I don't know if they're actually bullet hell, but good arcade shoot 'em ups. It's probably better to get these on the Switch now. This compilation came out in Europe and Japan, but not America. Yeah, you can get them on the Switch. The Sikio shooters, like Bravo and Alpha or whatever it's called. Good ways to play those games. Taiko Drum Master games. I have like a few of them. I can't remember their titles offhand. I have like 4 actually. Taiko Drum Master games. See them roar. I don't think they're numbered even, so I can't like say it's like 2, 3, 4, whatever. But yeah, they're Taiko Drum Master games, and I know they're good games because I like Taiko Drum Master. If you like rhythm games, pick them up. Tales of Destiny Director's Cut. This is a remake of Tales of Destiny on the PS1 that really overhauls it. New graphics, full voice acting, and a different battle system, but still action. And a new this version particularly has a new like post game chapter, which is cool. At some point, I will play it. There's an English fan translation guide thingy. Tales of Destiny 2. This is a sequel to Tales of Destiny. This is not the same Tales of Destiny 2 that's on the PS1. And this is like the hardest Tales game I've ever played. It's really hard, but it's also good. And I wish it were English because the characters are fun and have like good dialogue. But like you can't always understand them perfectly. But like there is like a fan. When I played it, I used a fan summary of the story rather than the actual dialogue word for word. So that's unfortunate, but I was still able to enjoy the game a lot. But yeah, it's a great Tales game. It's a darn shame it's never been released here. Tales of Rebirth. This is a much more serious Tales game than most. It deals with like a lot of issues of like racism and stuff. And seriously, in the middle of this game, it has like an an anime cutscene, which is really like one of the best and most powerful cutscenes I've ever seen in an RPG. It's really incredible. It's a shame that this has not been released in English, but fans have translated it and stuff. Highly recommend it. They went for a more serious Tales game that doesn't have like any jokes really at all. There is like a more lighthearted character, but he doesn't really make jokes, and they nailed it. It's a really good game, and it has like a battle system that has like 3 planes on the battlefield. It reminds me the most of Guardian Heroes. Yeah, highly recommended. And then Twinkle Star Sprites, La Petite Princesse, if I'm saying that right. This is like a versus shoot 'em up where you either play against another player or a computer, and you shoot things, and you get power-ups, and you send garbage and like fires and enemies to the other person's screen and try to beat them. And it's really cool. I recommend it. I actually forgot that I have a bunch of these loose CD games here, but I don't think I have much to say about them, so I'll just go through them quick. Churro Q is a driving game, racing game, and I think it's actually not that good, but I don't know. I got it for like nothing. FIFA Soccer 2005, very popular soccer series. Can't say too much about it. I'm not really that into soccer/football in general, personally, but I am interested in trying more video games of them. Flip Neck Ultimate Pinball. It's pinball. I like pinball. That's all I can say. Frequency. This is the prequel, I think, to Amplitude, and I talked a little bit about Amplitude. I might have said when I had Amplitude that I don't have Frequency, but if I said that, then I'm wrong because I do have it. Major League Baseball 2K5. I like baseball a lot. I haven't played this series actually all that much, and this is the World Series edition. I can't really comment on how good. I think the 2K series is generally considered not to be one of the best. This is like the bonus disc that came with it, with World Series moments that you can just see on YouTube anyway, so it's probably worthless now in the year 2020. MLB Slugfest 2004, very arcadey, non-traditional baseball game from Midway. I've played one of these. I've always found these games kind of hard to play. Like I think the hitting in this game is very difficult because you can do like really crazy pitches. But I do kind of like the arcade style of it. NBA Ballers. I think this is kind of non-traditional. I don't remember. Basketball game. I can't say too much about it. A friend basically gave it to me. NBA Live 06. Popular basketball, kind of more realistic basketball game. Can't say too much about it. I know it's popular. NHL Hits Pro. I do like NHL Hits 2002. I'll talk about that in the GameCube episode. This has actual 5-on-5 instead of like 2-on-2. I think it was 2-on-2. I don't remember. It might be 3-on-3. But fun arcadey hockey games. Then we have Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. Outrun's a classic arcade game. This is a worthy 3D sequel many years later. and I can't say too much about it because I haven't really played it, but, they're fun arcade driving / racing games. Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder. I like Tony Hawk a lot, so, the same series. It's still probably pretty good. I haven't really played it. SSX3, more fun extreme sports games, but, I know that's considered like a really great game, but I just haven't really played it. Star Wars Racer Revenge. I like Star Wars. I like racing games. I haven't really played that one. And The Bouncer, beat 'em up by Squaresoft. I don't know if I'll ever really play this. I'll probably find a better home for it. I can't really say too much about it. Tony Hawk's Project 8. This is our last game. And, it's Tony Hawk. I like Tony Hawk a lot. I'm not sure if this is a really good one. You can get this, I believe, on 360 and PS3. So why would you play this version? I don't know, but I have it because it was basically just given to me. And we are at the 40-minute mark, and that took longer than I thought. But, hey, I'm all done with PS2. Stay tuned, because what is coming up next? I think Game Boy Advance is coming up next. Yeah, pretty sure it's Game Boy Advance. See you next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.